Hi guys, today we'll know about the territories of USA. What kinds of territories are available in USA and how many kinds of territories are available there. The USA currently administers 3 territories in uh, Caribbean Sea and even in the Pacific Ocean. 5 territories: American Samoa, Guam, Northern Mariana Islands, Puerto Rico, and Virgin Islands are permanently inhabited territories. There we know about the most important territories over here. Many organized incorporated territories exist from 1989 to 1789 to 1959. The first were Newest and Southwest Territory, and the last were the Alaska and Hawaii territories. 31 territories or part of territories become states. In the process, some less populous areas of territory were orphaned from it after statehood and referendum. When a proportion of Missouri territory became the state of Missouri, the remainder of the territory is the present-day state of Iowa, Nebraska, South Dakota, and North Dakota. Most Kansas. Okay, potentially and economically, the territories are underdeveloped. Residents of U.S. territories cannot vote in U.S. presidential elections, and they have only non-voting representation in the U.S. Congress. Territorial communications and other infrastructure is generally inferior to the continental United States and Hawaii and some territories. Internet speed were found to be slower, and the last developed countries in Eastern Europe probably rates are higher in the territories than the states. Organized versus unorganized, organized versus unorganized territories. The definition of that is organized territories are lands under federal sovereignty but not part of any state, which were given a measure of self-governance by Congress through an organic act subject to the Congress parliamentary powers under the territorial codes of the Constitution, Article 4, Section 3. Former, the term unorganized was historically applied either to a newly adequate region not yet constituted as an organized incorporated territory, e.g., Louisiana purchased prior to the establishment of organs and territory and the direct of Louisiana, or to a religion previously part of an unorganized incorporated territory left unorganized after part of it had been organized and achieved the requirements of statehood. Large proportion of Missouri territory became unorganized territory for several years after its southern section became the state of Missouri. And the regions that have been admitted as state by the United States Constitution in the addition to the original 13 where most often prior to admission, territories part of the territories in this kind. As the United States grow, the most populous part of the organized territory world achieved statehood. Some territories exist only a short time before becoming states, while others remained territories of decades. The shortest lived was Alabama Territory at 2 years, while New Mexican Territory and Hawaii Territory both lasts more than 15 years. Of the current 15 US states, 31 were at one time and another part of the organized incorporated US territory. In addition to the original A36, subsequent states never were Carolina and West Virginia, where each state from already existed. Texas and Vermont both encouraged in union after having been sovereign states. Only de facto supremacy. And okay, that's the current status. When we are coming to speak about the current status, all of the 5 US territories with parliament non-military population have been constitutes locally elected territorial legislatures and elections and some degree of political autonomy. Four of the 5 are organized, but American Samoa is technically unorganized. All of US territories without parliament, non-military populations are unorganized. Federal administration, the office and interior affairs. Okay, there on March 1849, the last day of 13th Congress, a bill were passed to create the U.S. Department of Interior to take charge of the internal affairs of United States territory. The internal department has a wide range of responsibilities, which included regulation of territorial governments. The basic responsibilities for public lands and other uh, various duties. In contrast to similarity named department in the other countries, the United States Department of the Interior is not responsible for local government or for civil administration, except in the case of Indian reservations to the Bureau of Indian Affairs BIA and ICENT dependencies administered by Office of the Insular Affairs. Permanently inhabited territories. The US has 5 permanently inhabited territories: Puerto Rico and US Virgin Islands in Caribbean Sea, Guam and Northern Mariana Islands in the North Pacific Ocean, and American Samoa in the South Pacific Ocean. American Samoa is the southern hemisphere, while the other 4 are the northern hemisphere. In 2020, their combined population was about 3.2 million. People born in Puerto Rico, in US Virgin Islands, Guam, and Northern Mariana Islands acquire US citizenship by birth, and foreign nations Residing are there are many apply for US citizenships by naturalization. People born in American Samoa acquire US nationality but not US citizenship by birth if they do not have US citizenship parent. Nationals without US citizenship may hold US passports and uh, reside in any part of United States without restrictions. However, to become US citizens, they must apply for unnaturalization like foreigners and may only do so while rec- residing in part of the US states and other than American Samoa. Foreign nationals residing in American Samoa cannot apply for US citizenship or US nationality at all. Each territory is self-governing with three branches of government including a locally elected governor and a territorial legislature. Each territory elects a non-voting members, non-voting residents commissioner in the case of Puerto Rico to the U.S. House of Representatives. They pass the same powers as other members of House, except that they may have not put on the floor when the House is meeting as the House of Representatives. The debates are associated and officials and staffs founding and nominate constituent from their territories to the Army and Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, and Merchant Machines Academics. They can vote in their appointed House committees and all legations uh, pertain to the House. They are included in their party count for each committee and they are equal to senators to conference committees. Depending on the Congress, they may also vote on the floor in the House Committee of the Whole. As of the January 3, 2021 to 3 2023, the territories are represented by Anumwa Amata Radian of American Samoa and etc. Every year, every 4 year, US political parties nominate presidential candidates and convention which include delegates from the territories. US citizens living in the territories can vote for presidential candidates in three primary elections but not in general election. The territorial capitals are Pago, American Samoa, Guam, Sapian, Northern Mariana Islands, and Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands. The governors are uh, Limanu, okay. Among the and those you can see here everything among the inhabited territories. Mm, SSI is available only in the Northern Mariana Islands. However, in 2019, U.S. judge ruled and the federal government's de, uh, denial of SSI benefits to residents of Puerto Rico and unconstitutional. American Samoa is only US territory with its own migrating system, a system separate from the United States immigration system. American Samoa also has a Commonwealth island system in which 90% of the island commonly owned ownership is based on swamp uh, century. American Samoa. It is located in South Pacific American Samoa, and it is about 197.1 square kilometers, 76 square mile. Guam, GU. It is not specific. It is located in the North Pacific area, and and it is 543 square kilometers, and 210 square miles. Northern Mariana Island. It is in the North Pacific. It is also 463.63 kilometers, square kilometers, and it is about 179 square miles. PR, Puerto Rico, PR, is also North Atlantic. It is about 9,104 square kilometers. It is about 3,515 square miles. US Virgin Islands. It is also Caribbean North Atlantic. It is 346 square kilometers, 134 square miles. Okay, the history. American Samoa. The territory since 19th century, after the end of the Second Samoan Civil War, the Samoan Islands were divided into two regions. In the US took control of the eastern half of the islands. In 19 in the territory of Cassian of Tutuila took effort, and the Manus Islands became a part of American Samoa in 1904, and Swains Island became a part of American Samoa in 1925. Congress replied American Samoa's territories in 1929 for 51 years. The US Navy controlled the territory. American Samoa is locally self-governing under a constitution last revised in 1967, and the first elected governor of the American Samoa was in 1977, and the first non-voting member of the Congress was in 1981. People born in American Samoa, US nationals, but not US citizens. American Samoa is technically unorganized, and its main islands in Tutuila, Guam territory, since 1899, acquired at the end of the Spanish-American War. Guam is the home of naval-based Guam and Edwardian Air Force based. It was organized under the Guam Organic Organic Act of 1915, which granted U.S. citizenship to Guamanese and gave Guam a local government. In 1968, in fact, in the act was uh, amend, amended and prevented those elections of governor, Northern Mariana Islands, and Commonwealth since 1986. The Northern Mariana Islands, together the Guam, were part of the Spanish Empire until 1899, when the Northern Marianas were sold the Guaman Empire after the Spanish-American War. Beginning in 1919, they were administered by Japan as League of Nations mandate until the islands were captured by the United States in the Battle of Spain and Battle of Titan, June June to August 1944, and the surrender of Arguin, September 1945. During the Second World War, they became a part of United Nations Trust Territory of the Pacific Island. 1947, administered by the United States UN. Trucy, the other constitution of the TTPI were Palau, the United States, Micronesia, and the Marshall Islands, following the failed efforts in 1915th century and 1916th century to reunify Guam and the Northern Marianas. A convert established the Northern Mariana Islands as a commonwealth in political union with the United States, were negotiated by representatives of both political parties. It was approved by Northern Mariana Islands voters in 1975 and came into force on March 24, 1976, in accommodations with the convert. The Northern Mariana Islands Constitution partially took effect on January 9, 1978, and became fully effective on November 4, 1986. In 1996, Northern Mariana Islands formally left UN trustship. The abbreviations of CNMI and NMI are both used in Commonwealth. Most residents in the Northern Mariana Islands live on Spain and the main islands. Then we'll know about the Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is quite interesting name, I think. Puerto Rico. Okay. Unicorrupted territory since 1899, Puerto Rico was acquired at the end of Spanish-American War and has been U.S. Commonwealth since 1952. Since 1917, Puerto Ricans have been granted U.S. citizenship. Puerto Rico was organized under the Puerto Rico Federal Relation Act of 1915, Public Law 600. In November 2008, in a U.S. District Court, judge ruled that a series of congressional actions have had the cumulative effect of changing Puerto Rico's status from an inappropriate and inappropriated. The issue is uh, proceeding through the courts, however, and the US government still refers Puerto Rico as an unincorporated, and Puerto Rican autonomy has called the island semi-sovereign. Puerto Rico has a statehood movement. Those goal is to make the territory in 50, 51 uh, 51 state. See also political status of Puerto Rico. Okay, I'm not going to see the political status of Puerto Rico. Then the US Virgin, purchased by US from Denmark in 1917 and organized under the revised Organic Act of Virgin Islands in 1954. US citizenship were granted 1927. The main islands Saint Thomas, Saint John, and Saint Corix. Statistics of that, except for Guam, inhabited territories lost population in 2020, although the territories have higher poverty rates than maintained US. They have higher human development index for uh, four of the uh, four of the five territories have another official language in addition to English. Territory will know American Samoa. The official language is English and Samoan, and population changed. Population is decreased, and poverty rate is 65%. The 65% is poverty rate shown on 2017. Okay, I think the poverty rate is very high. Okay, Guam. Then the Guam. The official language of Guam is English and Chamorro. Chamorro. Okay, population is increased 0.18%. Population were increased, and poverty rate is 22.9%, which is counted in 2009. Then northern Mariana Islands, it is English. Its official language is English and Chamorro and Carolian. Its official language also Carolian. Population rate were decreased and decreased about 0.36%, and which is counted in 2021, and poverty rate is 52.3%, which is counted in 2009. Sorry, Puerto Rico English, which official language is English and Spanish. Population rate is decreased, minus 1.46%. Population rate decreased, and poverty rate is 43.1%, which is counted in 2018. And US Virgin Islands, in its official language is English, and population rate also decreased about 0.42%, and poverty rate is 22.4%, which is counted in 2009. From this report we can see the highest poverty rate in American Samoa, which is counted in 2017, and the lowest poverty rate is in US Virgin Islands, which is 22.4%, which is counted in 2019. And only in Guam the population rate is increased, but in American Samoa and Northern Mariana Islands, even Puerto Rico and US Virgin Islands, whose population rate is decreasing gradually. The territories do not have any administrative countries. The US Census Bureau, the US Census Bureau courts and Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico has 78 municipals, and US in the US Virgin Islands, three main state of all Guam in the Northern Mariana Islands, four municipals, and American Samoa's three districts and two atolls and country equipments. The census Bella Brussels also counts each of the US minor it's as country equivalent. Okay, that's the extra for statistical purpose. US Census Bureau has defined area called the island areas, which consist of American Samoa, Guam, and Northern Mariana Islands, and US Virgin Islands. Even major territories except Puerto Rico. The US Census Bureau often treats Puerto Rico as its own entity or groups it with the state and DC. For example, Puerto Rico has facts and page just like the state and DC. Puerto Rico data is collected annually in American Community Survey estimates just like the state, but for data and other territories in collected only once every 10 years. Governments and linguistic. Okay. Here is the list of government and legislature. You can see here government and legislature, the table. And the political party status. The following is in the political party status for government of US territories following complication of 2020 United States elections and instance where local and national party affiliation differs and national affiliations is listed in second. Guam and US Virgin Islands have an unique chemical territories of legislatures. Territory American Samoa. The presidential election, they have no presidential election, governor, nor president, democratic, non-partisan. Territory state. Okay, you can see the list of political status or table of political status of this territory. Okay, here's the description of this. Republics have 5 seats and Democrats has one. Republicans have 5 seats, Democratic 1, and Independents 3. There are some quotation, you can look over the quotation. The courts. Uh, each of the five major territories has its own local court system. Higher Court of American Samoa, Supreme Court of Guam, Supreme Court of Northern Mariana Islands, Supreme Court of Puerto Rico, Supreme Court of Virgin Islands. Of five major territories, only Puerto Rico has an Article 3 federal district court and an equivalent to courts in 50 states. It's become an Article 3 court in 1966. The main the means that This means that unlike other U.S. territories, federal uh, judges in the Puerto Rico have life tenure. Federal court in Guam, the Northern Mariana Islands, and U.S. Virgin Islands are U.S. Virgin Islands are Article IV territorial courts. The following is a list of federal territorial courts plus Puerto Rico courts, district courts of Guam, 19th century secrets, ninth secrets, and district court of the Northern Mariana Islands, ninth secrets, and district court of the District of Puerto Rico, non-territorial court, first secrets, and district court of Virgin Islands. Okay, American Samoa does not have any federal territorial court, and so federal matters in American Samoa are sent to either district court or Hawaii or district courts of the districts of Columbia. American Samoa is the only permanently inhabited regions of United States with no federal court. Geographic. While US maintained a majority non-Hispanic right, and this is not a cause for US territories in 2010, American Samoa population was 92.6% Pacific Islander and including 88.9% Swam. Guam's population were 49.3% Pacific Islander, including 37.3% Chamorro and 32.2% Asian, including 26.3% Filipino, and the population of Northern Mariana Islands was 34.9% Pacific Islander and 49.9% Asians, and the population of US Virgin Islands were 76.0 African Americans in 1929. Puerto Rico population were 98.9%. Okay. Hispanic or Latino, 67.4% white, and 0.8% non-Hispanic white. Through the to the 20th century, US territories overall lost population, and combined the population of five inhabited territories was four okay 18, and I'm not going to, you can see here the number, and the US territories have higher religiosity rates, and American Samoa has the highest religiosity rate. religiosity rate. In United States, 99% three religious and 98% three Christians. Economy. The economy of US territories vary from Puerto Rico, which has a GDP of 104.989 billion in 2019, to American Samoa, uh, which has a GDP of 636 million in 2028, and in 2080 Puerto Rico exported about uh, 18 billion goods, which the Northlands and highest destination as Northland as largest destinations. Okay. There are also destination. Guam's GDP sank by 0.3 in 2018. The GDP of the Northern Mariana Islands sank by 19.6 in 2018. Puerto Rico's GDP grew by 1.18% in 2019, and US Virgin Islands GDP grew by 1.5% in 2018. In 2017, American Samoa's GDP sank by 15.8%, but then grew by 2.2% in 2018. American Samoa has the lowest per capita income in United States. It has a per capita income comparable to that Botswana. In 2010, American Samoa's per capita income was 6.311. As of 2010, Manu's districts in American Samoa has per capita income of 5,441, the lowest of any country or country equivalent in United States. In 2018, Puerto Rico has a median household income of 20,166, lower than the median household income of any state. Also in 2018, Comerio Municipality, Puerto Rico had a median household income of 12,812, the lowest median household income of any populated country or country equivalent of US. Guam has much higher income, and Guam has Guam had a median household income of 48,274 in 2010. Okay. Minor outlying lands. The United States minor outlying islands are small islands, atolls, and reefs. Bakar Islands, Howland Islands, Jarvis Islands, Johnston Atoll, Kingman Reef, Midway Atoll, Palmaria Atoll, and Wake Islands are in the Pacific Ocean, and Navesa Islands is in the Caribbean Sea. The additional disputed territories of Bano Nivo Bank and Tanzania Bank are also located in the Caribbean Sea. Palmyra Atoll, formerly known as the United States Territory, Palmyra Islands, and it is locally incorporated territories and a status has maintained since Hawaii became a state in 1959. The status of several territorial disputed Navassa Islands and disputed by Haiti. Wake Islands is disputed by mm, Marshall Islands and Schweinsbart. A part of American Samoa is disputed by Tokau and Pajao Nuivo Bank and Serranilla Bank, both administered by Colombia, are disputed by Colombia, Jamaica, and Honduras, and Nicaragua. They are also uninhabited except of Midway Atoll, whose approximately 14 inhabitants are employees of U.S. Fish and Wildlife, wildlife, wildlife Survive and their service provider. Pal, Palmyra Atoll, whose population varies from 4 to 20, Nature Conservancy and Fish and Wildlife staff and researchers, and Wake Islands, which has a population of about 100 military personnel and Caribbean employees. The two later abbreviations of U.S. minor outlining in UM. The name of the Bokhar Islands, it is not specific. It's about 4.1 square kilometer. It is about 0.81 square miles, and status is unorganized, and it's claimed under the Guano Islands Acts on October 1856, annexed on May 13, 1936, and placed under the jurisdiction of United States Department of the Interior. Howland Islands, it's Paulsonia North Pacific. It's about 4.5 square kilometer. It's 1.7 square mile. It's unorganized and climbed under the Guano Islands Act on December 1858, annexed on May 13, 1936, and placed under the jurisdiction of the Interior Department. Javaris Islands, Polynesia South Pacific. It's about 4.75 square kilometer. It's about 1.83 square mile. It's also unorganized, climbed under the Guano Islands Act on October 1856, annexed on May 13, 1936, and placed under the jurisdiction of the Interior Department. John Atoll. It's also located on North Pacific. It's 2.67 square kilometers. It's about 1.03 square miles. It's also unorganized and last used by the US Department of Defense in 2004. And Cayman Reef, it's also in North Pacific, and it is also 18 square kilometers. It's maybe it's about 6.9 square miles. It's also unorganized and climbed under the Guano-Islands Act on February 8, 1816, annexed on May 10, 2020, 1922, and placed under the uh, jurisdictions jurisdictions of the Navy Department on December 19, 1934. Midway Trails. It is also located on North Pacific. It's about 4.2 square kilometers, and it's about 2.4 square miles. It's also an unincorporated and unorganized territory since 1859, permanently, primarily a national wildlife regulation refuge and previously under the jurisdiction of Navy Department. Navassa Islands. It's also Caribbean North Atlantic. It is the area is 5.4 square kilometers. It's about 2.1 square miles. It's also unincorporated and unorganized territory since 1857, also claimed by Haiti. Palmyra atoll. Uh, it is also in North Pacific. It's 12 square kilometers, as maybe 5 square miles. It's unincorporated and unorganized, potentially uh, owned by the Nature Conservancy, with much of the rest owned by federal government and managed by the Fish Wildlife Survey. Is an archipelago of about 50 small islands with a land say of about 1.56 square miles, 4.0 square kilometers, about 100 miles, and 1.6 square kilometers south of Oahu. The atoll was acquired through the annexation of Republic Hawaii in 1898, when the territory of Hawaii was incorporated on April 13 and 9. The part of territory when Hawaii became a state in 1959. However, an act of Congress excluded the atoll from state Palmyra and remained an incorporated territory, but received no new organized government. U.S. sovereignty over Palmyra atoll and Hawaii is the disputed by Hawaiian survey movement. A week and then Awake Islands, it's Micronesia, North Pacific. It's about 7.4 square kilometers. It's about 2.9 square miles. It is also unincorporated and unorganized territories since 1898. Territory since 1898, host to the Wake Islands airfield, administered by U.S. Air Force. Wake Islands is claimed by the Marshall Islands. There is the disputed. The following two territories are claimed by multiple countries, included United States and not included in ISO 31662 However, they are sometimes grouped with US minor outlying islands. According to the GAO, the United States conducts maritime law uh, enforcement and operation in around Serranilla Bank and Bajau Nevo Bank consist with US 73 claims. Okay, overview of disputed minor outlying islands. Bajau Nevo Bank. It's North Atlantic. It's about 110 square kilometers, maybe 42 square miles. It's unorganized and unincorporated, administered by Colombia, claimed by US under the Guano Islands Act, and Jamaica, a claimed by Nicaragua, was reserved in 2012 in favor of Colombia by the International Court of Justice. Although the US was not a party to that case and does not recognize the uh, jurisdiction of the ICJ. Serrala Bank, Caribbean North Atlantic. It is 315 square kilometers, 140 square miles, unincorporated and unorganized, disputed by sovereignty, administered by Colombia, the site of a naval garrison claimed by US since 1879 under the Guano Islands Act. Honduras and America, a claimed by Nicaragua, was resolved in 2012 in favor of Colombia by the International Courts of Justice. Although the US was not a party to case and does not recognize the jurisdiction of the ICJ. Okay. Incorporated versus unincorporated territories. There are some territories you can see: San Juan, Puerto Rico, and the cities are also Preston City, US Virgin Islands, Tuam Beach of Guam in Guam, and Mount Northern Mariana Islands, American Samoa, and Lagoon. It is Red First Bobby Palmaria Atoll, and there's others. You can see here everything about. Okay, we will read. The court today holds that in the particular case of Puerto Rico, a monumental constitutional evaluation based on continued and repaired congressional annexation has taken place, given to same the territory has evolved from an unincorporated to an incorporated one. Congress today thus must afford Puerto Rico and the four uh, 14 lakhs United States citizens residing in all constitutional gu- guarantees to guarantees to hold otherwise would mount amount amount to the court blind for blindfolding itself to continue permitting Congress per secular and secularism secularism to which on and off constitution. Those all about uh, the US territories, the basics of US territories. I will know the basics about the US territories. Hope you will stay good and pray for me. Please subscribe, hit the subscribe button, like the video and share with your friend. Okay, stay good. Thank you everyone.